Someone asked me actually the other day, you send someone something and they respond, thumbs up emoji. Passive aggressive or not?
How old are they? That's where the cutoff mark is.
Yeah.
That's true.
I feel like 30...
majority of my thumbs up responses come from my mother, and I definitely know it's not passive aggressive. It's literally like, that's her way of saying, sounds good, honey.
Yeah. My granddad says K.
Oh, no, Grandpa.
Yeah. Grandpa.
You want these hands, old man? How many times I got to tell you about this?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Under One Roof podcast. I'm here at Fifth Color Studios with Ashley and Pat.
Hello.
Toodles.
All right, let's dive into it. Whoosh. All right. Oreo Thins and Microsoft 365 are teaming up to encourage something that we all like doing, and that's taking a snack break. So the new campaign is centered around employee burnout. Consumers can visit a landing page to sign up for Thinvites. Consumers will then receive a meeting invite on November 1st through 3rd, blocking off a time from 2 to 2:15 p.m. Eastern time for a snack break. And the invite also apparently showcases a playful puppy video for users to watch, and it's called Return to the Pawfus. Cute concept. I'm not exactly sure how that fits, but with the research you've done on this partnership, how does this campaign work or not for you guys?
Yeah, thinking of the word burnout, it feels like such a keyword recently because we've talked about it since 2019. And actually 43% of U.S. office workers say that they're experiencing some level of burnout. But it's actually interesting that word comes from the 1970s when it was actually coined for people feeling exhausted by their job. But it wasn't until 2019 when the World Health Organization actually labeled it an occupational phenomenon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that it has a good amount of history compared to it just kind of coming back again in 2019.
Right.
But my problem with this campaign is how are Oreos and Microsoft making the snack break actually going to solve any kind of issue?
Right. I completely agree with that. And I think there's a way in which this works for me and a way it doesn't. And for me, it's it works because there are currently a record level of employees that are burnt out or have work-related stress. And it's employees across the board, in office, hybrid, out of office, doesn't matter. And this is obviously due to a mixture of remote employees going back to that hybrid schedule that they weren't used to, or a full return to office, which was exhausting to people who were used to working from home. Or also for us here in the Midwest, that seasonal change from summer can be really hard on employees. Or maybe even something else you're going through personally, a project you're working on or whatnot. Needless to say, this campaign addresses kind of the need for breaks and the attention to mental health, which I really like, especially in the workplace. So I love that. It doesn't work for me, like you said, all these brands coming together and kind of the concept as a whole. So this puppy video, which is produced by the two companies together, so Microsoft and Oreo Thins. While adorable, I'm a bit confused on kind of how that works. And I get it's it's like a mind break and whatnot. I just think it's a little off base for me, but I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really understand where love it. I would love to watch some dogs running around, but how does that help me in my burnout? Great for the 15 seconds over 3 days, wonderful, but long term, how does that actually help me? In my mind, maybe partnering with BetterHelp or someone that actually offers mental health services.
Yeah.
And maybe during that time you have free courses for people to take to learn tools to actually help them. Maybe at the end there's some dogs, but
right.
Give them a little bit of substance to actually assist them.
I think these bigger companies are just trying to be on the right side of history. When people look back, when it's 2040, they're going to look at the companies that, were about mental health. We're on the right side of, equality for men, women, all different races. So when they look back at stuff and oh, what did Oreos do? Because these companies, these higher companies like Oreos, they don't really need to sell anymore. They don't need to really come up with this huge campaign to push their sales. Their sales are naturally going to grow up because they're a trusted cookie. You got Oreos, you got Chips Ahoy, and then can you name the next?
Right.
Right.
Off-brand, yeah.
Right, it's off-brand at that point. So Oreo doesn't really need to sell things with their campaign. They need to just be on the right side of history and just be like, hey, we did something to help towards mental health. So when you look back on it 20 years, 10 years from now, then you'll see that Oreo was on the right side.
Right. I think too, like, that's a great point and to bring up. And I just think a little bit like going back to your point with like there's just so many more maybe like adult tools that could actually help people. It's like this just seems a little childish to me.
Yeah.
Like I get maybe it's like lighthearted and whatever, but it's like, okay, fine. Schedule a 15-minute meeting on my calendar for a snack break and like let's watch a puppy video and whatever. It's like if we're actually want to be on the right side of history, like exactly partnering with like BetterHelp or something that like could actually I don't know like actually have a substantial change in someone's or like impact on someone's life. I don't know. It just seems a bit like kid.
Right. Like
me.
do something about it because I know you said like they're trying to be on the right side of history, but it almost to an extent kind of flops on them because it almost seems like it is for financial gain because it's just like
it's self-serving.
There's not a lot of thought put into it. You're not helping anyone. It's just telling me like, oh, these are adult cookies. Go buy them and it'll help you. Like,
well, it's like the snack break idea is like schedule a snack break. Well, like that's it's not self-serving to advertise that for Oreo, but it's like if you need something to snack on, I don't know, and you top of mind is Oreo and it's like to increase sales. And I get that's what the marketing thing is, but I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but from their perspective, do you think they'll ever be criticized for doing anything towards mental health? It's like you can't. It's like doing a trash pickup with a person and the person only picks up 2 pieces of trash. It's like, yeah, I want to criticize you, but we're both volunteering. You didn't have to pick up those 2 pieces of trash. So by them doing anything, which I agree with you, is not the right way to go about it, but them doing anything towards this movement is going to get them credibility, and I think they know that, and they wanted to put their own spin on it just so it would stick out a little bit more, and sales would go up, and 3 years from now, people aren't going to really remember the campaign. They're just going to remember Oreos did something towards mental health.
Right. And research has found that this style of campaign is actually becoming more and more popular as more brands are focusing on that work-related relief because I think it kind of sticks with a lot of people or it's relatable. So Grubhub actually cited research and found that 69% of New York working residents admitted to skipping lunch because they were busy with work. So Grubhub did a campaign then that offered free lunch to those who ordered on the app. Kind of like a one-time thing. And then you can imagine that campaign failed because demand completely outweighed supply. So it blew up. Obviously, they thought it was going to be successful. Well, they couldn't keep up with all the free meals that they were offering, and it kind of flopped. But we've talked about this a bit before, but what is the benefit of appealing to this kind of shared experience, like work-related stress, in a campaign?
I mean, I think for them, the fact that half of office workers basically feel this, like that is such a strong shared experience, and it's such a great pool of people to market to. So just having that data and knowing that there's so many people that are experiencing this that are going to resonate with it, I think it's really beneficial to them.
Doing things at work sticks. When you do, like when we order food here, when we order from different restaurants, whatever we order from, it sticks. Like, oh, this person ordered this and asked if I wanted some. I say yes, and now I use that in my daily life. So giving people things at work to do is going to stick because you're spending 40 hours a week at this place, and that memory of Oreos or that memory of Grubhub, now you take that home to your significant other, your family, and now you use that like, oh, I use Grubhub at work. This is perfect. Now we can start using Grubhub. So it's just an easy way to kind of slip into people's lives where usually campaigns are trying to get into your outside life.
Right.
No.
Well, and we've experienced that too, even just like with what content sticks on TikTok. It's like the shared experience. I mean, the majority of the world works. They all have we all have different jobs, but there's a lot to relate to when it comes to the corporate world or office life. That's why I think The Office was so funny, because it's like, oh, kind of at some point relatable at life. But even what sticks for us on TikTok is that more like when we mention Teams, Microsoft Teams, we mention email because people can relate to that. It's like those shared experiences, and there's so much power behind that. So I definitely think that they're on the right track. I don't know if the content was right or the messaging was right here, but I think, like you said, the target is very on track.
Yeah. And I mean, even when you talk about burnout, I know I keep saying like office workers, but it's across so many different industries. I mean, people in healthcare, honestly, all over. You can't find workers for really any kind of job. So everyone's working extra. So, I mean, in that regard, they're definitely targeting the right type of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of it, they also are integrating. I mean, the two brands are very different, but they're integrating that Office 365 with the Oreo thing by making these emojis. Did you guys try them out on Teams?
Yeah, I searched for them this morning. They're actually really cute.
Are they?
Honestly, yeah, I'll use them probably.
Probably.
Yeah, you gotta. I don't know what situation you're sending someone an Oreo.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not sure the context.
There's one of like a little smiley face, like holding up an Oreo.
really?
I know, it's fun. Why not?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, instead of a raise, you get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a
Good
cookie.
job.
It's like the structural change, and it's like, all right, I know how to fix this. A pizza party. That's what Teams is doing. I know you're burnt out, but here's an emoji.
Yeah, of an Oreo, not even a real one.
Come on.
You're welcome.
Do you guys remember when they first changed the like reaction emojis to look different?
Oh, they're so scary.
So scary. I was scared to use them. I was like, I don't even want to give a thumbs up. This just looks
It felt very awkward, like sending them all of a sudden. It's like, I don't know how people are going to respond to this.
Someone asked me actually the other day, so not even on Teams, but in text, you send someone something and they respond, thumbs up emoji. Passive aggressive or not?
Depends.
Yeah, it depends. But yeah, I would say more often than not, it's passive.
How old are they? That's where the cutoff mark is.
Yeah,
that's true.
I feel like
majority of my thumbs up responses come from my mother, and I definitely know it's not passive aggressive. It's literally like, that's her way of saying, sounds good, honey.
Yeah. My granddad says K.
Oh, no, Grandpa.
Yeah. Grandpa.
You want these hands, old man? How many times I got to tell you about this?
Yeah, at least he doesn't K period you. That would be.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
He doesn't go that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it's age. I'd say about like 40 and up, you got to allow it. Like the OKs,
give them
the
a pass.
pass. But anybody 35 and below and they like send you a thumbs up, like
put in the effort. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Especially the yellow thumbs up. Like, you didn't even change it to the color of your hand. That's disrespectful.
I think I screwed myself over because I typically when I text, I use a lot of exclamation points. Like basically every sentence is an exclamation point. So when I use periods, people are like, oh, she's mad. She's not happy. Literally you could tell how in my message if I'm happy or mad, depending on using a period or an exclamation point.
I have a question for you, Pat. Because I'm just curious, like when you're typing out emails and you put in an exclamation point, do you sit and think should I be putting in this exclamation point?
Depends on if the person knows me. Because you guys have never seen me mad, right? You'll never see me mad. So I feel comfortable like typing any type of way because I know you've never seen me mad or show any type of
That sounds like
aggression.
a challenge. I kind of want to see you mad now.
You do? I tear this but I sometimes I'll add at the end I'm like, dang, this kind of sounds like I'm demanding something. So I'll just say thank you so much.
Yeah. I was just interested if that was a female thing or not.
It's definitely, for me, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Hello, exclamation point, and then the next sentence, a period. Maybe one more sentence with a period. And then, thank you so much, exclamation
Can't
point.
be too happy.
Yeah.
Gotta be a little bit assertive.
Yeah.
With period.
When I'm mad, I just don't respond.
Oh, now we know.
Yeah.
Okay, ghosting.
Definitely, at least for until I calm down. I'm just like, all right, it wasn't that big of a deal because usually it's not that big of a deal. It's
All right, so if you're not yet aware, Amazon Prime has taken over Thursday Night Football. So the company owns the exclusive rights to airing the football game, which means you can only watch the game if you're an Amazon Prime member. Annoying AF, but smart, I will say. Needless to say, it's yet another platform for advertisers to think about, and Mercedes-Benz jumped on the bandwagon. And despite the fact that Amazon does not sell cars, they're seeing a lot of benefits from it. So the head of marketing explained that Amazon has been a great advertising partner because of their first-party consumer data. which is only going to grow in importance as consumers become more complex. So thank you, Gen Z, very complex consumer group. Mercedes is also transitioning from gas to electric vehicles, and there's this sort of kind of like guessing as to who's ready for that. So this data is really helping them. So what kind of data and insights is Amazon providing, do you think, that allows Mercedes-Benz to target the right people at the right time?
Yeah, so if I'm Mercedes-Benz, I'm looking at it kind of twofold. I'm looking at overall consumer data. So how big are purchases, cart totals, how often are purchases happening? And then I'm also starting to look at just eco-friendly products. Like, are people starting to think about this a little bit more, starting to amp up their purchases of sustainable products? If so, maybe it's the right time for me to start switching on my messaging and getting electric vehicles actually being produced. So even though it's not like a direct tie-in, they aren't selling their cars on Amazon, there's still a lot of powerful data. I mean, Amazon has to have just ample shopping data.
Right, absolutely. And like you said too, especially for sustainable products. So it is kind of funny because we talked a little bit, I don't know, in a past episode about sustainable products are a little bit more expensive typically, and some consumers are willing to pay more for them. But it's interesting. I've been listening to one of my favorite podcasts is the Foreplay podcast by Barstool Sports. It's a golf podcast, but one of their major sponsors is Chevrolet. And every ad read they do, one of the points that they must bring up, and they're really passionate about, is that like are all like integrated electric, semi-electric like vehicles, so they have a lot of sustainability, eco-friendly within the vehicles. And the biggest point they bring up is like you don't have to be rich to buy this electric vehicle. Mm-hmm. Mercedes-Benz is already like a little bit higher end when you think about cars, but to see who's ready for that electric side, I think it's interesting to kind of pair it with, does it have to be more elevated or not? I don't know. Just another interesting point, but that Amazon data is going to be really helpful for Mercedes-Benz moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, even just thinking, we've talked so much about how Gen Z is just kind of shifting every brand's marketing and what they're doing just as a brand as a whole. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe Mercedes-Benz is even looking at, like, are we offering the right products for this upcoming generation? Are we going to need to make shifts into what we offer?
Right.
I mean, it could even go that deep.
Right. And even though I don't think Gen Zs are buying Mercedes-Benz right now, I think they want to stay relevant among that age group as they age, so that when they do have the money, maybe in their late 30s or whenever you have the money to spend on a new car, that they think of Mercedes because they've been with them their whole adult life, you know? So it's interesting. I don't know. But on the converse side, I kind of want to talk about the other side of the conversation, which is Amazon Prime taking over Thursday Night Football. So absolutely just owning Thursday nights. So the first Thursday night game was on September 15th when the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the LA Chargers. According to Amazon, there were 12.5 million people watching at any given time. And this is actually equal to the amount that watched Thursday Night Football across all the networks in the past. So consolidating that viewership really did not impact the number. And Amazon was pleasantly surprised by this very high number in their first week. So another thing helping Amazon's ad platform is the streaming platform proves to be very high, like very popular among people aged 18 to 45. And these are highly sought after cohorts for marketing professionals. So a really good, the ad platform is performing well among that age group. So additionally, those between the ages of 18 and 34 accounted for 24% of Amazon's streaming audience, which compared to just 14% of the NFL's TV audience. So reaching a lot more of that age group. So how do you guys think this changes kind of the advertising game, and what are some potential impacts of advertising on more exclusive streaming platforms like Amazon?
If I'm a Thursday Night Football advertiser, I am excited about this. Mm-hmm. I mean, not only are you getting same levels of viewership as you did on network, but you're also open to so many more potential viewers who maybe don't have cable anymore. And honestly, if you think about Amazon Prime, how many people do you know that don't have access to it? Like, right. It's almost just a common thing now that everyone has. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be so worried about people not having access to watch Thursday Night Football. I don't know. For me, if I were an advertiser, it would definitely be a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what gets lost is Amazon's actual marketing, because we talk about like everybody marketing off of Amazon and how advertisers will benefit off Amazon. Amazon did probably one of the best things, and I was wondering like how are they going to get people back. When they first started, they started with one of the biggest games of the year, right? They had Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs rivalry game, Chargers. When you turned on your TV, you're like, man, I can't find this on TV. Where is it? You had to Google where it's at. You're like, oh, Amazon. Do I have Prime? Oh, let me get Prime. I got to see the first football game of the year. That's where all the football fans come from. Then, if you signed up, you got a free trial for a month, which meant 4 games. 4 games. The last Thursday night football game was terrible. And I was like, man, that's when the free trial ends. If I had Thursday night football, I'd be done after this. I wouldn't pay for this after the free trial's over. And then I look, hey, I wonder what's week 5's game to get people to actually start paying.
Yeah.
Because this is where all the free trial ends. It's Tom Brady versus Lamar Jackson. Kind of shift Lamar Jackson to the side. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And then now today, all of a sudden, I walk into the office today, and Marcus,
I
the
heard
first
that.
thing he says is, hey, Giselle is giving Tom Brady an ultimatum and says that if he doesn't quit football, then they're getting a divorce. So now you got football
You have
fans,
to watch.
you got, the TMZ fans. You got Giselle's fan base. Obviously, Tom Brady's fan base. You got all these people paying attention to, and the Bucks are there. Tom Brady's kind of struggling this year, having one of his worst years since his rookie year. So people are going to tune in just for that fact, along with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens is supposed to be a good game. And it's just genius. And I was just wondering, I'm like, why would they have a bad 4th game?
Yeah.
So I was like, that's when you think it should be good
To keep
but-
people
to
interested.
keep people interested, but I was wrong.
It's the week after.
It's the week after.
Yeah.
It's the 5th game, and it's just like, hey, if you don't pay this membership, you're gonna miss this 5th game. And I was like, man, that's so genius.
Gosh,
What if
yeah.
Tom and Giselle is all scheme for Amazon? Not that
Jeff
it is.
Bezos
That'd be
paid them to do this.
But isn't it crazy that rumor just spread? Like, obviously, the rumor's been going on the whole year.
Yeah.
You know, like, are they getting a divorce? Are they going to divorce courts? Not many details have came out, but all of a sudden, a lot more details are coming out on Thursday. Now people, Amazon has those cameras. Amazon's commentators are former players, which is like a much more fun aspect than to see Joe Buck and Troy Aikman talk terribly. Oh my God, they're so terrible. Yeah. But they as former players, so they'll be a little bit more personable when they talk about like situations like that and how family can affect you when you're on the field. So this it's just so genius. Like, if I didn't have Prime already, this is where I would continue it, and I can see why people would continue it. And then you look at the other benefits. No shame here when I say this. Gossip Girl is on Amazon Prime, but
yes, Gossip Girl and football. That's all Pat needs. That's all he needs.
He's a very cultured man.
Yeah. I was gossip. I was the one typing it, but yeah. Then you start to realize how much stuff Amazon Prime actually has. You're
That's
like,
so true.
And you start to go through it. Like, what other benefits does it get me than Prime shipping and Thursday night football?
Right.
So I think they did a really good job with that, because if you have something for 5 weeks, eventually you're gonna see like what else can I get out of this app? I have to stick around for Thursday night football.
Yeah.
I have to stick around for Prime shipping. So what else can I get about this app? And now I feel like all those other things in the app are gonna start benefiting from this.
Right. It's funny too that you bring up kind of Amazon attracting different audiences to watch the games as well. So it might have been a terrible game last week, but you know how many people tuned in because Taylor Swift, her Midnight's album was coming out at midnight that same night, Thursday night so technically Friday morning at midnight, Thursday night. And she announced, like, I don't know if it was like the name of her songs or if she was giving a little preview, but it was all over my TikTok, like, the one time I will watch a Thursday night football game. And it was like for Taylor Swift.
Wow.
So it's like drawing another, like, and I know it's funny, we laugh about it, but it is true. Like, it's probably a scheme on Amazon to draw a whole nother audience. Like,
for sure.
Girls, I don't know, my age or whatever age, don't care about the game, especially. It was a terrible game. Like, but they'll tune in for Taylor Swift.
I never realized how much pull she had.
Oh,
It's
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I really pay attention. I'm like a music head, so I pay attention I love when platforms come out with how much an artist will sell in their first week, because that's how you gauge how big the album was. So my favorite rapper, Drake, did, I think, 240 in his first week. Lil Baby did 120 in his first week. Adele did about 800,000 in the first week. Taylor Swift is projected to do 1.3 million in her first week. 1.3. That's all the artists I named combined.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Wild. I haven't heard a Taylor Swift song in like.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
So
Feeling
obsessed.
22.
Oh.
I know. I'm feeling 22. No. Yeah. Taylor had probably one of the best weeks of her life in the last like week or two. And Kanye probably had one of the worst weeks of his life.
She won that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I
just find it a little, and then on top of it, one of her songs on this new album is kind of all about karma. I'm like,
valid.
Ooh. Burn. But speaking of Kanye, it's one of the biggest kind of news articles in advertising right now. And I'm sure you guys have heard, I'm sure our whole audience has heard, but I wanted to bring it up. So Adidas has officially dropped Kanye West as a brand partner, ending its Yeezy deal. So some notable items, quick, very factual. The Adidas Yeezy brand is the biggest source of Kanye's net worth. After weeks of silence and public pressure, the Adidas brand announced that it would immediately end production of all Yeezy products and stop all payments to Ye and his companies. So Adidas said in a statement that they do not tolerate anti-Semitism and any other sort of hate speech. Ye's recent comments and actions have been unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous. Yeezy generates close to $2 billion a year and accounts for 10% of Adidas's annual revenue. The divorce will cost Adidas an estimated $250 million in this year alone. So brands inherently take a risk when they work with celebrities, brand partners, and influencers. What does this do for the Adidas brand, and what does the future of their marketing look like?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think they made a good move, just because they'll probably survive without Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
Will Kanye survive without them? Not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you almost have to take that responsibility as a brand working with different influencers, different celebrities. You got to know where you stand also and stand firm with that, even if it doesn't align anymore. And actually, ties were cut with other big brands too between Kanye and them. So Balenciaga, JP Morgan Chase, Gap just announced too that they're cutting ties with him. So they're all kind of standing together in this also.
Right.
Yeah. I think obviously Adidas, you have to be on the right side of history once again. Only the final decisions, like if you look back at everything in history, only the final decisions make it in the history books. Like not how it went down or who did what. It's like, what was the final decision? Adidas dropped Kanye for saying basically racist things, which is good, but I think Adidas will be okay. Obviously they'll take the hit this year. Anybody would take $250 million to almost any company as a big hit. But a lot of people don't realize Kanye just opened up a door for a new fan base for Adidas. They were okay. They were second. They're always going to be second to Nike. They're still going to be second. They are very popular overseas. They're the most popular brand when it comes to soccer overseas. They'll be fine. They'll recover.
Yeah, Pat, do you want to speak on that, like how they're continuing kind of and moving forward with the Yeezy brand?
Yeah, so basically they're going to be able to take anything at this point Adidas basically owns. They're just not allowed to use Kanye's likeness on the shoe. According to Goldstein, who wrote a book called Sneaker Law. The wild thing, like, let's say this is Michael Jordan and Jordan. That really affects Jordan as if they can't have the Jordan logo on them, right? They're just become like this plain shoe. Well, if you have any Yeezys, Kanye's logo is not on there.
Mm-hmm.
The only Yeezy is on the inside of the shoe where the bottom of your foot is.
Right.
So now I guess all Adidas has to really worry about is, how fans will take it that it's not Kanye shoes anymore.
Sure.
And, it's going to be, we'll see within the next coming years, will people just be like, hey, I'm comfortable with this shoe. I've been wearing this shoe for, 5 years and, this is my shoe. Or will they say Kanye meant a lot to this shoe and I only wore it for Kanye. So I'm sure it'll be some split there. And I also think the biggest factor is, like Ashley mentioned, who will work with Kanye after this.
Yeah.
Because if nobody works with Kanye, these shoes will hold high value still.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if, I guess there was a rumor that he walked into Skechers and that he tried to get Skechers, to, reissue his shoe and start a deal with them and start a collab with them, and he was escorted by security out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And if he doesn't find a way to get his brand back out there, like shoes and clothes wise, well, Adidas has all those designs still, so they'll still make money. So that's going to be a big factor on if Adidas still makes sales off the Yeezy brand, that Yeezy shoe. Obviously, they're going to change
The design.
The
I mean,
design,
it's the name, but it's also the design. And like we talked about, like brands they have an inherent risk when they work with celebrities, influencers, anyone. But consumers also take a risk when they buy products like that. My best friend here has 2 pair of Yeezys. She has 2 pair of $300 shoes. She's like, I'm not going to not wear them. But like, I feel like, sorry, excuse my language, an asshole. Like, she's like, but I have these shoes that I spend a lot of money on. And now I feel like I can't wear them, but I want to. And, it's not because I support Kanye and what he said. It's just, I spent a lot of money on these shoes. And I just think it goes back to like the risk that we all take when working with a name, you know?
I guess it's a different situation because usually when this happens, like if you think about LeBron or Jordan or Tiger Woods, they're not designing their own stuff. So if LeBron said something like this and it was taken away, they just like take away the shoe, but Nike will still exist. Yeezy is not going to exist anymore. So like when you wear Yeezys, you're wearing Kanye's shoe.
Yeah.
And if he keeps on this, I feel like at this point, I don't know if it's like someone would see him and be like, oh, you got those Yeezys on, you support Kanye, but I feel like it definitely can get to that point.
Yeah.
If he if he continues down this road, like it'll be to the point where like people are like, oh, you got on like Yeezys, like you must be racist.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out because he's got such a strong hold in the fashion world in general. I mean, the man's a genius when it comes to fashion, not going to lie. But I mean, is anyone going to want to work with him at all?
Right. Right. Exactly. And I think it proves that, in turn, obviously we have this risk, but companies also have a responsibility, and that's to uphold like their values, no matter what the cost is. Like we said, $250 million, that's going to be a big hit to any company. And so no matter what the cost and no matter how long you've been working with the person, they have a responsibility to uphold their values. So they've been working with Kanye since 2013, Adidas has. So, I mean, it's a 10-year relationship basically, and a huge cost and a huge hit to the company. And I think they did the right thing, upholding their values and standing strong. And it's a sensitive issue across the board, but could be noted as especially sensitive for Adidas, just with their history, and they are a German company. The founder obviously has a history with back in World War II, so I think that it's something that they had to really figure out internally, and it's a risk on both sides. But
yeah, I don't think people realize how big celebrities like that are connected with brands are. They literally hold like the value. Like when Adidas, Nike, Reebok, Puma, when they're trying to sponsor a team, and that team is looking for like a sponsor, or you put the logo, or let's say it's like a whole league like the NBA, they take into value of like part of your value is what celebrities you have on there. Like Adidas, New Balance lost out on a deal not too long ago because they had no celebrity endorsements. They had no celebrity signed to them, so they went out.
That was like their whole point at first. It was like endorsed by no one.
Yeah.
That's their whole campaign.
And they lost out on like where, you know, like where Nike or Adidas could come in and just be like the value of their company. It's like this unwritten value. It's just like we have, you know, Kawhi Leonard and Jack Harlow now, as New Balance does. And it's like you can't really write a number to that value, but it definitely bumps your value up when you're negotiating with someone. So I think it sucks for Adidas that they have to get rid of this big figure. I wonder, can they go out and get another big figure like him?
Right. Do you think they have a little like PTSD after this? Like, I don't know. I mean, we see, because we kind of saw it with Nike and the Tiger Woods stuff, and that was a risk. And I'm sure other companies have gone through, maybe not to this level, but do you think they'll be like, okay, who aligns with our brand? Who would be like influential and fits our brand, but also like won't do this to us? Like, I would have a little, if I was like in charge of that, finding that, you know, celebrity influencer or whatever, I'd be like, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know, you know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I would say there's definitely a lot of risk.
Yeah.
I would be afraid.
Yeah.
Very hesitant.
Yeah.
All right. Last section, per usual, chatting about something that we've learned this week. So, Ashley, kick us off.
Yeah. So we've all seen them. Most of us, no matter our opinion, are probably sick of them. Political commercials.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting texts now, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's
so many texts. But what I learned this week is how much money is spent, or actually this year alone in this midterm campaign, how much money has been spent on the campaign. And Open Secrets, which is a nonpartisan, independent, nonprofit organization that really digs deep into research on tracking money in U.S. politics, they're estimating, and this is conservative, that the cost of this year's midterm marketing has projected to be $9.3 billion.
Oh, my God.
Which is crazy to me. I don't have much more besides that. It's just a kind of mind-boggling fact that much money goes into political marketing.
And like, I'd be curious too. So it's that much money, but like where it's all coming from, you know?
I think it's interesting that it's that amount of money when everyone I personally talk to is just sick of it. Like, you just don't want to hear it. People mute the commercials because they just don't want to listen to it.
Right.
So that much money is dumped into something that people really aren't caring about.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. That's so interesting. So mine's a little different. Mine has to do with podcasting, which obviously fits what we're doing. So podcast ads universally boost brand metrics. And in fact, they found that longer ads are actually working better than shorter. So a new study from Nielsen has found that podcast advertising amplifies consumers' brand awareness and affinity, and also boosts interest in making a purchase or just simply learning more about the product and brand. So podcasting is one of the few areas actually in the last year that time spent with media has actually grown. So a lot of others are decreasing while podcasting is growing. The study also proved that respondents who listened to the ads were a lot more likely to remember the ad, recommend the brand, and seek more information about the brand than the control group, which did not hear the ad. Or maybe saw it in a different setting. So additionally, the study found that spots, longer spots, which they actually found 35 seconds is kind of like the key number, but that drove better results than shorter ad spots. So just some good things to learn. I think we're finally learning more about podcasts as they grow in popularity and the advertising opportunities that exist within them. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot.
It's like it's like, okay, good to know, you know, what we're doing is going to be part of the growth.
On the right track. Mine is towards micro influencers again. Quick advice if you're looking for sponsorships, brand deals, and, you know, let's say you have Podbean and TikTok, you know, and they tell you, hey, you keep building your page and we're going to find you a sponsor, or we're going to find you a brand deal. It is not true. And even if a brand reaches out to you, it's because you're way above what they should be paying you. So if a brand reaches out to you from Podbean, Spotify, it's going to be way under than it's going to be way under the price of what you should be paid. So if you're a micro influencer, the best thing you can do is do some research on your competitors. So if you're someone who does user generated content for an alcohol brand, look at someone with a similar following, see what brands they have, and go after those brands. You have to reach out to those brands like, hey, I see that, you sponsor them. I kind of have the same following. Also, find out when that brand's quarter ends, because at the beginning of each quarter, every brand that's looking for a micro influencer, their budget comes back up at the beginning of each quarter. So find out when their quarter ends and quarter begins, and that's when they'll ship out the most money, is at the beginning of the quarter. So if you're looking for brand deals, sponsorships, do the research yourself. Find someone that's similar to you. Find out what brands they're working with. Look at the quarter. This is the beginning of quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, whatever, and reach out to that brand, and you'll have way better success than waiting on someone to reach out to you. If they reach out to you, they're definitely going to underpay you.
Fair.
Know your value.
Know your value.
Know your worth.
Yeah. You're a star.
You're a star. I'm pretty sure that's probably like a Taylor Swift lyric and we don't even know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
She's thriving, just like you should be.
I'm feeling 22 though.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye, Taylor Swift.
Toodles.
Toodles.